Alright, so in my last video I showed you that when I bought the car I smelled a little bit of radiator fluid, so I suspected that probably the water pump was leaking, but it wasn't too bad to where it was dripping on the ground. So I've already started the process of taking everything apart, and I followed another video, there's a ton of videos out there that show you how to take the intake manifold off. There's these little intake plates that slide in here, so I thought, well, since mine has quite a few miles on it, roughly 150,000, that I would go ahead and take the intake off. The water pump assembly is down here, so it makes it super easy to get to, and then I can clean all of the surface area there, get that nice and clean, and then clean those little intake plates. And those are really dirty on mine because it probably has never been cleaned, and I'll show you those now, before and after. And there's the leaky old crappy water pump, so got myself a new one here. So here's the before and after on these intake plates. I don't know what their correct name is, but they're plates and they go in the intake, so they're intake plates. But you can see if you look close enough, I don't know if my phone will zoom that well, but these are just covered in crud. And then this is what they look like cleaned. Much better. All I did was scrape it with a razor blade, and then I used some carb cleaner, sprayed it in a paper towel, or one of these probably worked better, and then I just rubbed it clean. And so these are in much better shape. These are pretty dirty, pretty gross. As far as taking everything apart, I followed a video from Humble Mechanic, and I'll add that link in the description if you want to check that out. He goes over all of the details of taking it all apart, since they have a camera crew, and I don't. My hands are always dirty. So this is how far I've gotten. I just took the intake off. Now I'm about to remove the water pump, and I'm going to clean everything up and put it all back together. Okay, I just got the new water pump installed and got the intake all tightened up. I'd say overall the job isn't too bad if you want to do it yourself. So I can tell you that after taking everything apart and putting it back together, it's actually quite a bit easier than it might look. And so now I feel more confident working on it. So if you are thinking about doing it yourself, and you've done something like this before, give it a shot. I mean, you might learn something new. Hopefully you don't break anything, but overall it's not too bad. And there's a couple tools that I feel like were helpful, and this is a smaller torque wrench that goes down to, I think it's an inch-pounds on the front. Yeah, inch-pounds on the front, and then it's actually got Newton meter on it too. So most of these bolts, intake bolts and water pump bolts, are 9 Newton meter, which is roughly 80 inch-pounds of torque. And you're going to need a 1/4 inch extension and a 1/4 inch T30 bit. And this makes it a whole lot easier. Of course, you can't really get to these bolts if it's not a 1/4 inch. I really like this torque wrench. I've used quite a few crappy ones before, and this one's really nice for the money. And a couple other tools I found handy was this mirror. Surprisingly, it lights up, so you can shine it around up underneath things. You can kind of see what's going on if you're looking for any bolts. So that was super helpful. And these like scraping tools, especially if you've got a really old water pump and it's been leaking for a while. It's good to scrape all the crap out. Also, a lot of people use these to pry the silicone hoses from the fittings. So I've got quite a few of them, and those have been super helpful. Here's the old water pump here. You can kind of see where it was leaking. Overall, this one wasn't leaking too bad, but it was enough to cause a mess down the side of the engine block, and kind of there's a drip every now and then, especially if I wasn't driving the car very often. So yeah, that's the old one. There's quite a few little differences compared to this one when you compare this one to the new one. So I'm hopeful that the new one will last longer and perform better, but we'll see. My new water pump is from FCP Euro, and they ship the new water pump with a new water pump belt and a new bolt, as well as a new intake gasket, and I think that's about it. And I replaced my belt because this car has a lot of miles on it, and the old one was kind of dried up. It wasn't too bad. I probably could have used it again, but why use it when you got a new belt? So if I could give you any advice on doing the water pump yourself, is pay attention to the water pump belt pulley, the small one. It's a 12 millimeter. You want to use a high quality wrench, and it's also reverse thread. So removing it is actually tightening it. So righty loosey, lefty tighty. So definitely spend a little more time on the water pump belt side. Everything else will always go back together. All these connectors, can only put them in one way. Yeah, so just take your time. It's not too bad. If you do decide to do it on your own, good luck. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. I'd be happy to help. Also, I will add a link to these tools and the torque wrench. Also the water pump kit from FCP Euro. I think that's about it that I think you could definitely use that would be helpful. Also, I'll add a link in the description to the 1/4 inch extensions and the T30 and T25 bits that you'll be using for the job. One thing I forgot to mention is holding the crankshaft while you're loosening the water pump pulley bolt. So what I did is, this is a 24 millimeter socket. So I'll just put this on the crankshaft bolt, because more than likely you won't be able to loosen it whatsoever, even if you tried. That way you're able to hold the crankshaft while you're loosening the water pump pulley bolt. One bit of advice is you can fit it down in here, put it on the crankshaft bolt, and then as you're tightening it or loosening it, the wrench will bump up against something in here, kind of hold it for you, so you don't really need to hold this and the 12 millimeter wrench at the same time, because that's very difficult. Tomorrow I'll be starting it, making sure everything is put back together properly, and that it runs good, and that it cools good. So yeah, tomorrow will be the big day, and I'll keep you posted. Alright, so I've driven the car quite a few times now, probably maybe 200 miles with the new water pump in it, and everything's going pretty smoothly, thankfully. So job well done, and I'm happy to have a new bugs flying in my ear. I'm happy to have a new water pump